Looks like I have to explain this situation. Yeah, the reason why I took this and other odd jobs is because I was trying to avoid talking about this episode. But now you've got me, it seems I have no choice. Which is unfortunate because I can barely say anything positive about it. Which is sad because recent seasons were not doing any good for Applejack. Even Where the Apple Lies, although I think was fine, some claims it to be not that fine. Unfortunately, this episode also didn't do anything good for AJ. However, I'm not sure if we can still talk about character assassination, but it certainly did some damage to her character. And by some, I mean a lot. That unlikable Applejack was not ever since some pony to watch over me. And even then, even if she was driven by her paranoia and overprotection, it all happened because she also loved her sister, so that was at least some redeeming quality to her. This time she's following the logic, I don't know anything about it, so I'll say something about it. Dang it, she herself said that she knew nothing about fashion, and it was going to not judge the contest, but changed her mind because of apple bloom at her hat. This, however, would not be that big of a problem if she would try to form her opinion more politely, or if she would want to form her opinion but instead being a bit afraid to do it. Problem is that she isn't brutally honest, she is brutally blunt. Whatever is in her mind goes through her mouth. Other pony feelings? What's that? Okay, this business is brutal, but hey, it's a My Little Pony, it's PG, so in this case it's not that brutal. But the absolute peak of how bad AJ is shown in this episode is when she destroyed the results of hours of hard, detailed work. Okay, I get it, she was told to be honest, but she was not told to be blunt and obnoxious. Such attitude would be more fitting in season 1 or 2 at worst, but not in season 7, where AJ was a few times in position of struggling to be too honest because she was afraid of hurting some pony's feelings or messing things in general. This time she took her status as the most honest of pony way too far. What's make this situation worse in my eyes, she wasn't like that even in season 1. But some of you might point out at Sugarcoat from Friendship Games as an example of blunt character. Okay, outside of her not being canon to the show, she was designed to be blunt character, while Applejack is an honest and compassionate character. 2. Sugarcoat's bluntness is mainly for a comedy purpose, and in the end it actually helped a bit. And last, in her bluntness, she wasn't at least obnoxious and was not destroying someone's hard work. Let me put it this way. Have you ever heard of any kind of critic who would destroy someone's work while judging it? I don't think so. If there are some artists watching me, I bet you would be pretty mad if some random person claiming to be a critic would literally tear your hard work. By that, AJ was also completely unprofessional as a critic. And you know what's the worst part of all of it? It's all Rarity's fault. I'm sorry, but if Pinkie Pie is questioning some pony's logic in the very beginning of the episode, that's already a warning light. It's actually really sad because this is another episode in a row where she is hit with idiot stick. A streak that continues ever since Spice Up Your Life. Yes, I did defend that episode, but still, she wasn't the brightest bulb in that one either. And this time she hit the same rock bottom of stupidity as in Cart Before the Ponies. I'm sorry, but saying that someone outside of fashion industry would be a good judge is a dumb idea. So what, she knows Applejack and knows she is the most honest of ponies. She might as well pick Fluttershy for that. Actually, scratch that. Fluttershy would be a better pick. At least she knows something about fashion. Applejack, however... Okay, another example. Although she knows Applejack, this is pretty much an equivalent of picking some random person from the street just to be the voice of normal people. The result would be pretty similar. Applejack have no experience in fashion, and yet Rarity seems to forget about how well AJ handled the topic back in Suited for Success. That's the practicality she was expecting for her? I'm sorry, but that's also dumb logic. Her definition of practicality is far from Rarity's definition of practicality. And not only she asked the pony who is not practical in the way she was expecting, who also know nothing about fashion and fashion industry to be the judge, but also she never clarified how much honest Applejack should be. Yes, AJ shouldn't be obnoxiously blunt, but in a way Rarity told her to be like that. Truth is, the whole mess is pretty much her fault because she caused it. That being said, I believe Rarity have no right to be angry at Applejack. However, as I've said, Applejack is also not without a fault, which was shown in the whole situation with Strawberry Sunrise. The hardest possible way to show AJ the error of her thinking. and probably an introduction of her new arc nemesis. But it pretty much shows how short-sighted she was. That not everyone are sharing the same opinion, and not always it's easy to accept that, but sometimes it's better to keep it for yourself instead of being bluntly honest about it. Otherwise, you might end up hurting someone's feelings. I probably should talk about some positives, but there are little to none in this episode. Maybe Pinkie Pie being smart and supportive, while also still being a nice comedy relief. Rarity had some awesome guitar solo, the return of photo finish and hoity-toity is always welcome. I also like the design of the new characters introduced in this episode. Maybe also AJ making up for her mistake, but the ending kinda broke it for me. You know, if everyone's a winner, nobody is. This is pretty sad. Another time where we have an episode where two main characters are hit with idiot stick. And the fact that there are barely any redeeming quality is something that kills such episodes. People are mostly angry at Applejack, and they have good reasons for it. She's blunt, obnoxious, and hurtful. Oh, and also oblivious, so once again she had to learn her lesson the hard way, after the damage was done. But we are forgetting that all of it happened because Rarity was, once again, dumb. Dumb by picking Applejack, dumb by believing her honesty and practicality would be perfect to judge the contest. They're not. Applejack's practicality is not the same as Rarity's practicality. And it's not okay to be honest if you don't set some limits. And most importantly, bringing someone outside of your industry is not a good idea. What's also bad is the fact that Rarity never realized it was her fault and blamed Applejack. I'm still holding up to say if that was a character assassination, but there's no doubt that this is a pretty bad episode. Easy candidate to be one of the worst of the season, if not the worst of the season. I only hope we won't get anything worse. I'm Shepherd, and if you excuse me, I need to catch one bunny. Now you won't escape me.